It's Wednesday, September 20th, 2017. It's time for WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinkert. I'm Greg Watkins from WorthPoint.com, and it's time for our weekly conversation with Harry Rinkert, our expert in all things antiques and collectibles. How you doing tonight, Harry?
Well, I'm reaching milestones.
Which milestone is that today?
Well, no, I wrote column 1,600.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good
be published. It'll be released next week. It isn't a milestone in that it's an end of the year column or anything like that, but it seems to me I'm at the point as I get older that I'm looking for milestones more and more. And I think, and you know, the fact that it's an even 100 column, and the fact that when you write 1,600 columns and 800 of them are think pieces, you got to say, hey, it's a kind of a milestone of sorts.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Actually, I turned 76 here in 10 days.
Okay, and, well, happy early birthday.
Oh, that's right too. That's a milestone of sorts too, because it's the other half of the 70s.
You're right.
Yes,
it's the other
close
side.
To 80 than I am to
80 than 70 now.
Yes. And the problem is that your birthday is really the end of a year. So if you're 76, you're living 76, and you're in your 77th year, which makes it sound even closer.
That's right.
That's right. No, seriously.
But does it really matter at this point?
Yes, it does. And I'm going to tell you why. The column 1,600 that I wrote, I don't mind telling you. I looked back at the 1982 edition of Worman's Antiques and Their Prices, the 16th edition, the first one I did.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see what the antique market looked like 35 years ago. Okay?
Yeah.
First of all, it was truly an antiques marketplace. You know, the book was loaded with categories I would call traditional antique categories. Now, it was heavily glass and ceramic dominated because E.G. Worman loved glass. In fact, over 20% of the book was devoted to battered glass. No one in their right mind would write a price guide like that today. I mean, seriously. In fact, when I took it over, and battered glass was in a separate section at the front of the book. It took me till the 19th edition before I buried it inside the alphabetical listings and decreased it significantly. But it was interesting to see the power of this stuff. What was fun was to look at what we would call collectibles today, although most of the collectibles we talk about today are antique anyway. But you know, the collectibles marketplace was just in its infancy in the early 80s, and it wasn't until the mid 80s that I did Worman's Americana and Collectibles, which was one of the first price guides to define the collectibles marketplace. Well, anyway, it was fun to see what happened. Now, this would come as no surprise to you. In the 16th edition of Worman's Antiques and Their Prices, now remember, it wasn't Antiques and Collectibles and Their Prices.
Just straight antiques.
Cowboy memorabilia appeared for the first time.
Well, that's had a little bit of
goes the power of the
in cowboy memorabilia.
Yes, what shows the power of the role of the editor to make things happen. But anyway, but Depression glass was in there, and so was Carnival glass, which is kind of interesting. Toys, toy trains, toy soldiers were in there. You know, the so-called acceptable things. However, and I didn't have a copy of the 15th edition handy here at the house, or I'd looked it up, but there was also a category in beer cans, which I think I may have stuck in there just for amusement purposes.
Well, I was know that beer cans were
they were odd craze in the early 80s, man. I have to tell you, they were, and we probably got them in there. As I was looking through the book, though, one of the things that struck me is a lot of the categories got in there because somebody wrote a book about them.
So it's easy. Oh, somebody wrote a book. Let's steal their stuff and
let's steal that information and put it in the price guide. Absolutely. Now,
yeah.
But the thing was that in the column I did a list of 10 collecting categories and said, can you identify what they mean, what they belong to? I mean, if you heard the word Salopian today or Salopian, would you know what they were about? Nobody would. Nobody in their right mind would, nor should they. But what it reminded me was, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but when I was approached to take over Warman's after E.G. Warman died, the book was tied up in an estate out in Uniontown, PA. The Warman's second wife thought she was going to get the book and take it over, but the kids from the first wife got it, and the first wife was still alive, and she wasn't going to give that second wife a damn thing. So it was advertised for sale, and interestingly enough, the antique trader group at Schroeder's wanted to buy it, but a guy he's always fun to do a little bit of history. A guy in eastern Pennsylvania, Stanley and Catherine Green, they bought it, and they went out to Pittsburgh to meet with Pat Werman, who assumed she'd be the new editor, and they weren't thrilled with her. So they came back home and they asked around. They asked 3 people in the Philadelphia, well, if I needed somebody to edit a general price guide, who should it be? And would you believe all 3 said, you got to talk to Harry Rinkert. So one day I get this call from a guy that says, hey, would you like to edit Warman's Antiques and their prices? I said, sure. He said, well, okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have Pat Werman edit the pattern glass section, and you can do the general section. Okay. Now, I'm saying all this before I even saw a copy of the book, right? So what did I know I was promising I could do?
Yeah.
But anyway, so they go back out to Pittsburgh and tell Pat Werman that she is not going to be editing the rest of the book, only the pattern glass section. She says, I won't do that. So they called me up and said, hi, can you do the whole book? And I said, absolutely. So there I was with a book with 500 categories of stuff in it, and I got to do something real quick, right?
Right.
Well, the first thing I did is hire someone who knew about pattern glass. That solved 20% of the problem. But what I did, the way I learned it, is every category had a picture. So I decided if I took all the pictures in the book, I would handle something from every category at least once a year. Well, of course, when you go out and start taking pictures and you're looking for a dealer, he's not going to have one. You're going to photograph 5 or 10 of them. And so for the first 3 years, I took all the photographs that appeared at Warman, but I handled all the stuff. And that became a wonderful, hands-on education tool for me. And after 3 years, I pretty well knew what I was doing. I won't talk about the first 2 years. One of the most famous one in the baseball thing was the famous thing that belonged to Stan Musical because we didn't catch the misspelling. But enough of all that shit.
Well,
but no.
I know about typos, that's for sure.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The thing is that no one in today's trade is ever going to have that database that those of us that worked on those big general price guides in the 80s and 90s will have. Kyle Huss flowing, it's terrible. I can't even. Oh, the Huxfords who did the Schroeder's price guide, Sloan who did the Trader's price guide. Of course, Terry Covell does. Have that kind of database like I do. But anybody trying to come into trade now, doesn't. The other thing is, changing the subject a bit, but only goes to show how old I am. I am the academic coach for the Davenport University baseball team. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Davenport is NCAA, but 5 years ago, my wife started mandatory study table for athletes. 4 hours a week originally, and then it was 3 hours a week where they have to come to a study table and you stand there yelling at them to do their homework.
Which is
okay. Unless it's during the World Series or something like that, then they have trouble paying attention to their homework and where they can turn the computers on and watch the game. But that aside, the end result was that it raised the average of the athletes above the average of the general student body in terms of GPA, which was really kind of interesting. But what does all this got to do with the price of money? Is yesterday I had to hand out forms to students that are in my study table. Now, the way study table works is if you're a freshman, you have to be in there the first year. And then if you don't have a 3.0 average, you wind up in study table. Or if you're a transfer, you have to be in study table for a semester. You get a 3.0, okay? So at the beginning of each year, they have to fill out, those kids fortunate enough to visit with me. I have seen some of them for 4 years straight, actually, fill out this form. But they have to put their birth dates on there. And the freshmen were all born in 1999.
Yeah.
One more year, and it'll be 2000. I mean, really, born in 2000. No member in 2007, 2008. I mean, really. So what does it mean for those of us that worked in this trade in the 80s and 90s and cut our teeth on the categories of that time? We're indispensable. No, but we are. Well, we do have an internal mental database that is huge. And you say, well, what is the advantage of it? The advantage of it is that the old-time collectors, the people that collected in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, some of them have lingered on and are dying off. And the new young estate sale managers and auctioneers go in there, they have no idea what they're looking at. None whatsoever. And with that, let's talk about something to look at. Our good friend Art. Art? By the way, I have to put a plug in for him. Art loves wood. And so what does he send me in the mail here? You ready for this? You see that?
That's a shoe or a foot.
Yeah. Shoe lat, which he sends me this detailed description. Well, apparently he has the market cornered on shoe lasts. Sells them on eBay. And everywhere else. Why not? He loves wood things.
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, Art, I don't encourage people to do this, and I usually refuse to respond to emails, but Art sent me this email about these things. And here's what he said. Now we have to trace this all the way through the original email, all right? So the first email that Art said, sends me a picture, and you'll go through the pictures as I talk about these. He says, went to the preview of an auction tonight, and there was something interesting we found, that's he and his wife. According to the description on the bill of lading, these are bucket carriers. There are 10 in a lot. Most of them are about 5 feet tall. As you can see in the pictures, they were really well made. The guys at the auction tried to put buckets on the ends, but they fell off, except for buckets with wise handles that work, but one with a wooden handle slid off. What do you think they are? And are they really bucket carriers, right? Yeah. Well, stop right there. Stop with that one that you just had up on the screen, okay? Now, I'm a great believer that when you're trying to authenticate anything, all right, the first question you ask yourself is, how was it used? All right? So now go back to the big picture. So if these were bucket carriers, first of all, and they don't, what would happen is that the wire piece of the bucket would have to fit inside those wood pieces at the other end, right?
Yes.
And therefore, and one thing you learn about wire and wood is if you're going to carry these buckets are not going to stay perfectly still, right? They're going to rock back and forth.
Right. They're going to
wire would cut into the wood and leave a groove, right?
Yes.
In fact, these things, it doesn't look like it would take it very long to groove all the way through them. But anyway, let's go back to the detail of the piece that you showed there, okay? So I took one look at this and I said, bucket carriers be damned, there's no wear in these things. These things are not old. Really, not old, okay? So, I sent Art a note saying, beware, there's no wear, which I thought was very clever of me. So I get a note back from Art saying, what do you mean? What should I pay for them? So I finally wrote him back. I said, don't buy them. For crying out loud, don't buy them. Now, trying to tell Art not to buy something, I wouldn't want to be his wife, seriously, because he must have a heck of a time when he goes to auction. Because if it's made of wood, he just can't resist it, okay? They got like a metal spear on the end, too. Did you see that one and that one?
That's what I was just trying to look at here.
Yeah, some kind of metal spear, right? On the piece of metal on the end there, right?
That's what it looks like.
Let's
a metal cap.
Let's just say bucket carriers, not really. All right. So tonight, right before he went on the air, I got an email from Art. Art says, those 10 things I told you about yesterday were listed on the internet preview as primitive bows. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
Yeah, no, right. First of all, who doesn't need a 5-foot bow? B, in order for it to work as a bow, you got to be able to put string on it, right?
Right, and they would be notched.
It would be notched at the ends of those pointed thingies, or whatever you want to call them.
Right? And they wouldn't be wrapped with iron.
Hardly, in case you were afraid of being attacked while you were trying to string another arrow.
You've got and it's made of several pieces here. You can see.
Yes.
You don't want to unless you can really laminate the boards together. That's going to come apart when you put any kind of pressure on it with a bow.
Well, let us dismiss now we know they're not bows and they're not bucket carriers, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, anyway, Art says they were bought at the auction by two women who were buying like drunken sailors, paying too much for nothings. Fortunately for the real buyers, they left after 1 hour. Okay, but these ladies bought these 10 things for $450 plus 13% buyer's fee, so about $50.85 each. If you paid tax, it was more. Now, Art fortunately knows when to sit on his hands, and he says, I was willing to risk $100, but not 500 plus 13%, right?
Right.
Okay, now, here we come up. In searching for these items, I found what I think, my thinking, is what they are. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
He says they're primitive fishing spears. How about no way, Jose?
No, I'm not seeing it either.
You're not buying that either, are you?
Nope.
Me neither. All right, now, oh, those are fog hooks as fishing spears. Okay, those make sense to me, but not the bows. All right, I mean those are fishing products.
Yeah,
kind you see out in the marketplace. All right.
Yeah.
So let's I mean the only thing is I wish we could find a pool of carp and we could give Art a chance to try his hand with one of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's assume they were fishing spears. Well, that means they have to be held somewhere, right?
Right. You need a prong or something on there because otherwise it just.
Well, no, they got pointed edge. You could theoretically stick them in a fish. You could stick them in almost anything, I suppose.
Sure, but then when you get ready to pull it back, it's going to fall off.
Well, or something. That's right. You have to have a handhold on it somewhere, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, and the end has got to have a barb on it to.
Not only that, if there was.
Catch.
Well, no, if you stabbed them through enough, you could just lift them up out of the water. But the thing about it is that they can't be used for that because there would be wear on the body of them where the person held it, right?
Yeah.
So what do we think they are, right? Dumb things tourists buy.
What'd you say?
I said dumb things that tourists buy from African natives. And bring home. You know, they not only were they bought by a bunch of drunken women sailors, but they were bought by some drunken person overseas who thought he could bring them home and make use of them.
Well, you know, they almost look like ribs of some kind of structure.
Well, I thought about that, but they all have to, in order for them to work, they all have to be the uniform height, and they're not. Well,
unless you only needed one stretcher. And so this is just several different versions of a stretcher.
But how would you use it as a structure? Because you know, you'd have to balance it on something and put something in between.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see it. I don't
see that either. Well, perhaps not Art, because his guesses don't work any better than ours. Perhaps some enlightened member of our audience or viewing audience can tell us what they are, because I have no idea what they are.
Let's hope.
Yeah, all right. Where would they tell us, right, you might ask?
I do ask.
Yes, you do ask, and there you are, community@worthpoint.com, right?
Right.
Community@worthpoint.com. That's the name of the game, okay? But you can also send us questions about things you'd like us to comment on or anything else there as well. Now, this is one of those things where, you know, they fall into that rather interesting category that we have in trade. Oh, no, not yet. Well, yeah. Okay, that would work.
Well, no, I'm hitting the wrong buttons here.
This falls into a Watson's group of things. You know, what is it, right?
Right.
And the Early American Indians Association, which is probably the premier identifier of watch it type stuff, is the place to go. And that's what Art should really do, is send a picture of these to the Early American Indians Association and see if they can identify them. They do extremely well, actually, on this. But the problem is they're not American and they're not tools. And I don't know how good the Early American Indians Association is on that. But there's another thing, too. Once it's developed, when the generation who used them dies, all right?
Yeah.
So the next item that we're going to talk about, which you just happened to sneak in a preview there for, okay? Yes? You're going to put up the screen? Came in, and the question was from one of our viewers, what is it? Well, I took one look at it and knew what it was. Because I remember people using them. And I've encountered a lot of them in my travels. There you are. See how he has it in his hand?
Yep.
Well, you know what that is, right?
No. This one I don't know. I've been looking at it and
You've been looking at it? Seriously? It's a corn husker. Punching corn husker.
I'm from California. We don't have the corn huskers.
Born in California, darn it. No, it's a corn husker. It's an individual corn husker. Now, if you go on WorthPoint in the Worthopedia and type in and corn husker, or just corn husker, but and corn husker, you should find plenty of them. Right? Antique. Oh, there they are in quantity. Look at some there and piles of them too, right? And they sell at about $8 to $12 a piece.
Yeah. And
now let's see what we have. Well, look at some of the vintage hand tools on the right. That one with a set of 3 there. I thought that looked interesting. Here it is. It was $10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, $10. That's about right. It's a hand shucker. Who doesn't need a hand shucker? Say that 3 times fast, you could get in trouble. Okay, but they're around. You see them in farm sales. Heck, every farm museum has a bunch of them. And I suppose there's still people that use them. But go to that one that but they come in a lot of variations. Look at the one on the right. There, the one with the 3. Can you blow that up there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at the different variations they could come in. You could put quite a collection of these together. Oh, and those, look at those. They still have the leather. You can still read the leather on them, right?
Yeah, those maybe not used too much.
Oh, maybe not. Interesting. Anyway, so, this again, the Boss Manufacturing Company, Cornhusker, there you are. Good for you. But this again is the value of being an old fart in this trade. Because you see these things. You see these things all the time. And you do need to remember them. Now, I have to tell you this. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I got invited today to become a banquet speaker at the Midwest Tool Collectors Association in June of 2018, because they're having their annual meeting in Lansing. We're still negotiating the price.
Right.
The guy said, you would be an appropriate speaker because most of the people here are over 65.
Is that the only
That was one of the criteria, I think, that I got picked, yes, because I may be older than some of the people in the room, all right? But the thing about it is that I do remember distinctly days when I was the youngest person in the room. Unfortunately, as I get to be 76, it frightens me at 76 when I'm the youngest person in the room. And I do go to some senior events when that is pretty much the case. I remember one time, maybe 20 years ago, when I was at Lehigh University, I did a lot of fundraising. I still do occasionally for Lehigh. And I was in a room, and the woman in charge says, well, all the members of the younger class stand up. So I stood up. And he said, Harry, what are you standing up for? I said, well, I'm still one of the members of the younger class, aren't I? He said, sit down.
Aren't you?
Well, I am. Yeah, I consider myself that. It's all a state of mind, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to go to a third group of objects tonight. Because how can you look anything up if you don't know what it is, right?
That's right.
So I got a nice letter from a listener up in New Hampshire who said, I have some hobnob glass. Okay?
Hobnob, right.
No, that's what he said. He said they belong to my mother. Some of them had come down from the grandmother to the mother. And he said, we were cleaning out the estate and found this stuff.
Well, isn't the term hobnail?
Yes, most definitely it's hobnail.
Okay. You had me questioning, wait, hobnob?
No, so the first
Hobnail?
thing is, you're not going to find anything if you go floating around the internet looking for a hobnob glass.
Right.
Right? So this is another. Right. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Talk a few minutes here while I get my throat clear.
Okay. So,
yeah. I should tell people this is bourbon, but it's iced tea.
Well, that's a pretty big glass of bourbon there.
The price would be a lot better if it was bourbon. No. Anyway, back to all this. If you don't know what it's called, how can you look it up, right? Now, this is one of those glass that came into existence in the early 20th century and is still being made today. So you can't look at these pieces and say, oh, that's hobnail from 1920s or 1950s or 1970s. And that's the issue. Because in a way, you have to look at the forms and the shapes and the sizes to try to get a sense of what it is. Well, one of the leading, and the guy says, well, what's this stuff worth? Well, unfortunately, not a lot of money because there's not a lot of collectors for this type of stuff. But if you can identify the maker, that can add value. And so I went up on WorthPoint, and I didn't put in hobnob glass, of course. I know I didn't go up on WorthPoint. I went up to eBay because they have fewer listings than you guys do.
Well, yeah, I put in hobnail glass vase.
I love WorthPoint. Don't get me wrong, and we talk about WorthPoint all the time here in the Worth, but sometimes eBay has a lot less to go through and hopes you hit it right than this one does. Well, anyway, type in Fenton hobnail for me.
Fenton.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Fenton is one of those magic names in glass. And whoop, is that what you got? Well, scroll down a little bit because you should find some of those vase forms in Fenton because I believe they're Fenton. The color. Oh, there's one in blue. See the one in blue that's almost identical to the yellow one that we have in the photograph there. See it?
This one?
Yeah. Well, remember, once you have a mold, you can make it any color glass you want, right? And so here's that's a Fenton blue hobnail like the other one, but that one sold for $10.50, right?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And so, but that used to be a $45 to $50 piece. And again, this is one of the reasons why you want those dates. Now we should be able to find that big vase under Fenton too, that big hobnail vase.
Let me go switch to best match.
Oh, okay. That might be good. Well, there's that vase almost in an opaque color. Okay. And that's that's $65. But that's another one of those things that you always get involved with in glass is some colors bring more money than other colors.
Well, and this was also 13 years ago.
What? Well,
this sold in 2004. So
right, I was wondering about that. That price seemed really high to me.
Yeah.
So go by recent sales. Let's see what we can pull up. And,
so that's where we were.
Yeah, we just scroll down. Keep going. There'd be a ton of them on there. Well, there's that pink one to the left there. Is that about? That looks about like it might be like the other one. Yeah. It doesn't have this ruffle the brim though, I don't think. But that only brought what?
$17.
$17, yeah.
And it's tiny.
Well, the thing, it's a small one too. Yeah. No. Well, we need a bigger one. But anyway, here's another thing too. There's a correlation between these prices and the ability to sell something. And what do I mean by that? There's one. Oh, now they got $30 for that one. But that's opalescent glass. That means it's not just the canary or yellow, but it shades to white at the top. Okay, so that's a little bit added value. But here's the thing: when you start finding things and you see them listed on WorthPoint for $10, that means you're going to be lucky to get $2 for them. Because the less expensive they are, the more difficult it is to get that kind of money if you're trying to go retail, right?
Right.
I mean, when you see them for $10 and $15 on there, you better be thinking $2 and $3, seriously. So, and there's a lot of them on there. I mean, there's a lot of them on there, tremendous amount of them on there.
Well, we've got 30,000 listed under Fenton.
What?
Well, a lot of them are probably not marked the right way. But
Well, no. No, wait a minute. No. This is a good way to end the program. This is called about how to think research-wise. So type in Fenton blue hobnail vase and see if we can narrow the search. Because that's what, when you have these large categories, the key is to narrow the search. There we go, right?
right. So now there's only 7,548.
Well, only 7,500.
So we've reduced it by 75%.
We did. Now we could put, if you put 8 inch or 7 inches, whatever number of inches we use, unfortunately,
Yeah.
tell us, but try 7 inches. Now it should reduce it even more.
257.
Yeah, there you go. So, part of this thing is to have enough sophistication to know how to do this, right?
Yeah.
So we still not picking it up, but we're certainly getting a better look at it, right? All right. Well, enough of all of this. And enough of all of this. We shot 3 pictures tonight. It's time to quit. Besides that, I have to grade some, and you have to grade some papers too. So we'll do this again next week at this same time. I'll be back from Florida. You're still here in Kentwood, getting ready to head on to Pennsylvania and a weekend at the Hotel Hershey, where I went on our honeymoon, and she is meeting my 76th birthday and an early wedding anniversary present.
Wow. So does that town actually smell like chocolate?
What?
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Does it smell like
Not
chocolate?
anymore. Not anymore.
Environmental regulations? Did they have to put scrubbers on the vents?
Oh, at one point it was really, but I have to tell you what. Go to Hotel Hershey and we play bingo night for Hershey bars. And usually it's for kids.
Yeah.
Only when I go and we win. I mean, I don't care. I don't want little kids to get the chocolate.
Right.
And I'll tell you what the best news of all is, right?
What's that?
I'm going to the doctor tomorrow for my quarterly checkup for my diabetes. And so if I do well, I can eat candy for a month and a half before I have to worry about cutting back again.
Well, all right. You timed the trip perfectly.
Yes, I did. That is true. Very true. Planning is everything, even in the antique business.
That's right.
Hey, take care, my friend.
All right, Harry. Until next week, then, we'll say goodnight.
Good night, sir.
Good night.